The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with the usual chatter. Representatives from 200 species sat in curved rows, their forms as varied as the stars outside the massive window dome. Some had scales, others fur. Some floated in special tanks, while others needed heavy gravity suits. Ambassador Krilzax tapped his three-fingered hand on the glossy black table. As head of the Discovery Committee, these meetings were often boring. Most new species were simple, primitive things that would take centuries to become interesting. Next item, Krilzax said, his voice translator making his clicks and whistles understandable to all. Sector 8, Quadrant 3 to 7. A new intelligent species has been detected. The hologram in the center of the room changed to show a blue-green planet. They call themselves humans, said Junior Analyst Drevmore, his thin frame trembling slightly as all eyes turned to him. They have basic space travel within their solar system, primitive nuclear weapons, and are divided into nation-states. Technology level suggests early pre-FTL development. Krilzax waved a dismissive hand. Another typical case. How boring. Classify them as Level 2 and schedule the next observation for 50 standard cycles. Ambassador Zithril, a tall being with shimmering skin, leaned forward. Perhaps we should investigate further. Our sensors detected unusual energy readings from their planet. They're just humans, Krilzax said with a laugh that sounded like stones falling. Nothing special. We have more important matters to discuss. The Council moved on to other topics, Earth already forgotten. 12 light-years away, Commander Susan Miller walked quickly through the underground base buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her uniform was crisp, her brown hair pulled back in a tight bun. She had been awake for 20 hours, but her blue eyes remained sharp and alert. The guard scanned her retina before the massive steel doors slid open. Inside, 50 people worked at computer stations, monitoring screens filled with alien text. "Commander on deck," someone called, and everyone stood. "At ease," Susan said. "Where's the Admiral?" "In the secure room, Mom," replied a young officer. "He's waiting for you." Susan stepped into a small room where Admiral John Carter studied a 3D map of the galaxy. His dark skin looked ashen under the blue light, his normally cheerful face serious. "They found us," he said without looking up. "The Galactic Council?" Susan asked, though she already knew the answer. John nodded. "Our deep space monitors intercepted their communications. They've classified us as Level 2, pre-FTL primitives." Susan allowed herself a small smile. If only they knew. "Indeed," John said, finally looking up. "Project Stormfront is ready." "Yes, sir. All 50 ships are complete and the crews are trained. We've been ready for this moment for 15 years. John walked to a window overlooking an enormous underground hangar. Below them sat a sleek spacecraft, unlike anything the public had ever seen. Its dark hull seemed to swallow light. "They think we're divided," John said quietly. "They think we're primitive. That's our advantage." Susan joined him at the window. "How long have we known about them?" "First signals were intercepted in 1982. We've been listening ever since, learning their languages, studying their technology, analyzing their weaknesses. And they never suspected." John shook his head. "Our shadow tech keeps us invisible to their sensors. They see what we want them to see." Susan looked at the ship below. "When do we reveal ourselves?" "Not yet. Let them underestimate us a while longer. We'll wait until Project Shadowfall is complete." John turned to face her. "The President has authorized full deployment of the fleet to defensive positions. We'll be ready when the time comes." Susan nodded. "I'll inform the captains." As she left the room, she couldn't help feeling both fear and pride. Humanity had united in secret, preparing for this moment. The aliens thought Earth was just another primitive world, divided and weak. They would soon learn how wrong they were. The massive council chamber emptied as the meeting ended. Most members hurried off to more important matters, already forgetting about the newly discovered humans. Only Zithral lingered, reviewing the data on her personal device. "You seem troubled, Ambassador," said Krulzax, pausing at the doorway. "Something doesn't add up," Zithral replied, her skin shifting to a concerned purple hue. "The energy readings from Earth show unusual patterns. Their visible technology doesn't match what our deep scans detected." Krulzax made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. "Every new species has quirks. The vote is done. Earth is classified as Level 2. The matter is settled. Perhaps we should send a proper research team instead of relying on automated probes," Zithral suggested. "A waste of resources," Krulzax said firmly. "They're just humans, Zithral. In 1,000 years, maybe they'll be worth our attention." As Krulzax left, Zithral looked again at the readings. Something was wrong, but no one would listen. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Engineer Alan Powell whistled as he made final adjustments to a massive engine. The underwater facility hummed with activity as workers moved around the enormous hangar, preparing the fleet. "How's it coming?" asked Captain Lisa Wright as she approached, her footsteps echoing on the metal walkway. Alan slid out from under the machinery, wiping grease from his hands. His red beard couldn't hide his grin. "It's beautiful, Captain. The shadow drive exceeds all expectations." "Will it work?" Lisa asked, her expression serious despite Alan's enthusiasm. "Better than we hoped," Alan said, standing up. "This baby doesn't just hide us from their sensors. It bends space in ways they don't understand. Their science follows different principles than ours. They literally can't see what we're doing." Lisa nodded, looking up at the massive ship suspended above them. Its dark hull seemed to swallow the light. "And weapons systems. Non-lethal options are primary," as ordered, Alan said. "But make no mistake, if pushed, this fleet could take on anything the Council has. We've been studying their tech for decades while they haven't even properly looked at us." In another part of the facility, Dr. William Green led a briefing for the first contact team. 20 men and women in navy blue uniforms listened carefully as he explained the various alien species they might encounter. "The Council consists of over 200 species," William said, pointing to images on the large screen. "Most consider themselves far superior to primitive races like us. This arrogance is our advantage." A young officer raised her hand. "Dr. Green, are we sure about revealing ourselves now? Why not wait longer?" "Good question, Officer Kelly," William replied. "2 reasons. First, now that they've officially discovered us, they'll be monitoring more closely. Second, the Vrecken expansion is approaching our sector. If we wait, we might face them without Council acknowledgement of our status." The room grew quiet. Everyone had read the reports about the Vrecken, a conquering species that the Council seemed unable or unwilling to control. Later that evening, as most staff slept, Lisa Wright stood in the observation dome, looking up at the stars through the clear ocean water above. Admiral Carter joined her silently. "Nervous?" he asked after a moment. "Wouldn't you be?" Lisa replied. "Tomorrow we reveal ourselves to a galaxy that thinks we're primitives." John smiled slightly. "My grandfather used to say that being underestimated is the greatest advantage in any fight. Is that what this is? A fight?" "I hope not," John said, his voice serious. "But hope isn't a strategy. That's why we've spent 30 years preparing. That's why we have 50 ships ready instead of 5. Lisa looked at him. "You really think they might attack us?" "I think," John said carefully, "that powerful beings rarely welcome challenges to their power. And whether they realize it or not, that's exactly what we represent. Above them, through the water and beyond the atmosphere, the stars continued their silent watch over a humanity that was about to change the galaxy forever." Junior analyst Drethmore hated his new assignment. The observation post orbiting the gas giant humans called Jupiter was small, outdated, and lonely. Only 3 staff members monitored this backwater system that no one in the Council cared about. He sighed as he checked the daily scans of Earth. The same primitive satellites, the same radio signals, the same pollutants in the atmosphere. Humans were exactly what the Council had declared them to be, a Level 2 pre-FTL civilization, barely worth noting. Except something bothered him. The mining operations humans had established on their moon seemed too advanced for their technology level, and some of their satellites had unusual orbit patterns that defied easy explanation. Probably nothing, Drevmore muttered to himself as he filed his daily report. Like all his previous reports, it would be automatically archived without anyone reading it. The Council had bigger concerns than humans. Inside the hollowed-out center of Earth's moon, those bigger concerns were taking shape. Commander Susan Miller walked through the massive hidden shipyard, watching as workers put final touches on the fleet. "Status report," she said to the officer beside her. "All 50 ships are ready, Commander," replied Officer Steve Jackson. "Crews are at full strength. Shadow drive systems are operational on all vessels." Susan nodded, watching a team run final checks on the nearest ship. Its name was painted on the dark hull: Defiance. And the Council observation post. Still in Jupiter orbit. "They scan Earth daily, but haven't detected any of our activities. Our shadow tech is working perfectly." In another part of the lunar base, Captain Lisa Wright assembled her bridge crew. 20 men and women stood at attention as she entered the briefing room. At ease, she said, "Tomorrow we make history. The Defiance will be the first human ship to officially make contact with the Galactic Council." A tall man with glasses stepped forward with a datapad. "Captain, I've updated our first contact protocols based on the latest Council communication intercepts." "Thank you, Dr. Green," Lisa said. "Any concerns?" William adjusted his glasses. "Just one. The Council's dismissal of us as primitive means they'll be shocked by our actual capabilities. We should be prepared for fear, possibly even hostile reactions." Lisa nodded. "That's why we're not going alone. The full fleet will be deployed in shadow mode, ready to reveal themselves if needed." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Alan Powell worked with his team in the underwater facility, making final adjustments to the revolutionary weapon systems. The gravity pulse destructors are non-lethal, but will disable any Council ship without harming the crew, he explained to Admiral Carter. "And our shields can absorb anything they throw at us." John examined the schematics with a serious expression. "Let's hope we don't need to demonstrate either capability." "Hope for peace, prepare for war," Alan said with a shrug. "That's how we got here, isn't it? 60 years of listening to their communications, learning their technology, and building something better, all while they think we're still figuring out how to reach Mars." John smiled slightly. The look on their faces when they realized the truth will be something to see. That evening, in her private quarters aboard the Defiance, Lisa reviewed the mission plan one last time. The ship would emerge from shadow mode near the Council's primary space station, announcing humanity's true capabilities to the galaxy. She touched the silver pin on her uniform, Earth's new symbol to the stars, a simple design showing humanity reaching upward. "Captain to bridge," came a voice over the intercom. "Go ahead," Lisa responded. "We've detected unusual activity, ma'am. 2 Council vessels have entered the solar system and are engaging each other near the Jupiter observation post." Lisa frowned. This wasn't in the plan. "Alert Admiral Carter. I'm on my way." As she hurried to the bridge, she couldn't help but wonder if their carefully planned reveal was about to be forced ahead of schedule. Either way, the galaxy was about to learn that humans were far more than what the Council believed. The bridge of the Defiance hummed with tension as Lisa strode in. The main screen showed 2 alien vessels firing at each other near Jupiter. One ship was sleek and silver, the other bulky and covered in weapons. "Report," Lisa ordered, taking her command chair. 2 Council vessels engaged in combat, Captain," said Officer Kelly at the tactical station. "The Frisian trader ship is taking heavy damage from a Nomer border patrol craft. The Frisians have an unauthorized mining operation on Europa, and the Nomers are enforcing Council territory laws. They're dangerously close to our mining outposts," added William Green, studying the data. If their weapons hit our facilities, we'll lose 50 workers. Lisa's jaw tightened. Alert Admiral Carter. Prepare 3 ships for emergency response. We're going to shadow jump. Across the lunar base, alarms sounded. Within minutes, 2 additional ships joined the Defiance in the launch bay. The shadow protocol was initiated, the ship's systems powering up with a quiet hum instead of the roar of conventional engines. "Shadow drives engage," reported the helmsman. "Ready to jump on your command." Lisa took a deep breath. This wasn't how humanity's first official contact was supposed to happen. But she couldn't let 50 Earth workers die because of an alien border dispute. "Jump," she ordered. In the observation post orbiting Jupiter, junior analyst Drevmore nearly fell out of his chair when alarms blared. The sensors showed the battle between the Frisian and Nomor ships escalating. Energy weapons fired wildly, some shots heading toward Europa. "They're going to hit the ice surface," his colleague warned. "The Council will make us file so many reports on environmental damage." Suddenly, Drevmore's screen showed something impossible. 3 vessels appeared out of nowhere between the fighting ships and Europa. They were unlike any design he had ever seen. Dark, sleek, and radiating energy patterns his sensors couldn't identify. "What in the 7 moons is that?" he whispered. The 3 unknown ships projected some kind of energy field that completely absorbed the stray weapons fire. Then, faster than seemed possible, they moved between the fighting vessels. Outside, in the cold void of space, the Defiance and its sister ships Courage and Valiant positioned themselves in a triangle formation around the battling aliens. Lisa stood on her bridge, calm despite the historic moment. "Open communications," she ordered. "All frequencies, all languages we've decoded." The communications officer nodded. "Channel open. Broadcasting." Lisa spoke clearly into the silent bridge. "Attention Frisian and Nomor vessels. This is Captain Lisa Wright of the Earth ship Defiance. You are endangering human mining operations on Europa. Cease fire immediately, or we will be forced to intervene." On both alien ships, confusion erupted. Humans weren't supposed to have space travel beyond their own moon, let alone ships that could appear at Jupiter. And how did they know the aliens' languages? When neither ship stopped firing, Lisa nodded to her tactical officer. "Deploy gravity disruptors. Low setting." Pulses of invisible energy shot from the Earth vessels, instantly neutralizing the weapons systems on both alien ships. The fighting stopped, not by choice, but by necessity. "By the Great Void," whispered the Nomor captain. "How did primitives do that?" In the Council observation post, Drevmore frantically recorded everything, sending emergency messages to the Council. His superior watched in shock as the Earth vessels efficiently took control of the situation, maneuvering with technology far beyond Level 2 classification. "They tricked us," his superior said, "or we never really looked." On the Defiance, Lisa opened communications again. "This is Captain Wright. Your weapons have been temporarily disabled for safety. We will escort both vessels out of Earth's solar system. Further hostilities will not be tolerated in our space." "Our space?" The Frisian captain sputtered indignantly. "This system is under Council jurisdiction." Lisa allowed herself a small smile. "I think you'll find that's no longer the case." As the Earth ships guided the aliens away from Jupiter, Admiral Carter was already sending orders to the rest of the fleet. The quiet reveal they had planned was no longer possible. It was time for humanity to show the galaxy who they really were. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was in its 3rd hour. Representatives from across the galaxy argued loudly as reports and images of the Earth ships were displayed on the main screen. "Impossible," shouted Krilzax, pounding his fist on the table. "A Level 2 civilization cannot have ships that our sensors cannot detect." Ambassador Zithral's skin had turned a deep blue of vindication. "I warned you something was strange about their energy readings. Now we see the truth." The Council's military advisor, Graktur, a massive being with armored skin, studied the images with 6 eyes. "These vessels show technology we do not understand. Their appearance near Jupiter was not detected by any of our standard methods. Before anyone could respond, the chamber doors slid open. Everyone turned to see a human woman walking calmly into the council chambers. She wore a simple dark blue uniform with silver trim and a pin showing Earth's new symbol. "Who allowed a human in here?" demanded Krillzax, rising from his seat. "Your security didn't stop me," the woman said simply, walking to the center of the room. "My name is Catherine Lewis, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council." Stunned silence filled the chamber. Not only had a human entered their most secure location, but she spoke perfect council standard language without any translation device. Ambassador Zithril recovered first. "How did you reach our station? It's 17 light years from Earth." Catherine smiled. "The same way our ships appeared at Jupiter. We call it shadow jumping. We've been studying the Council for over 100 years, since your first probes entered our solar system in 1982. Krillzax's three eyes blinked rapidly in confusion. "That's impossible. We only discovered Earth 3 months ago." "No," Catherine corrected. "You only officially acknowledged Earth 3 months ago. Your automated systems detected us long before that. We've been intercepting and decoding your communications for decades." The council chamber erupted in shocked conversations. Graktor silenced them with a thunderous slam of his armored tail. "If what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now?" he demanded. Catherine nodded to a technician at the side of the room. The main screen changed to show a map of council space. Red dots appeared throughout the map. "As we speak, 50 Earth vessels are in position near every major council world," Catherine explained. "They arrived undetected by your sensors and remain invisible to your technology." Panic rippled through the council. Some representatives reached for emergency communicators. "This is not a threat," Catherine said firmly. "If we wanted conflict, we would not be talking now. This is a demonstration that your assessment of humanity was wrong, and your security protocols are insufficient." Graktor studied the map closely. "Our weapons cannot penetrate our defensive shields," Catherine finished for him. "We've studied your weapon systems extensively. Rather than copying them, we developed alternatives based on different scientific principles." Ambassador Zithril moved closer to Catherine. "Why come to us like this? Why not simply apply for council membership through standard channels?" Catherine's expression softened slightly. "Because you would have dismissed us, just as you dismissed junior analyst Drevmore's reports about anomalies at Jupiter. The council has become complacent, categorizing new species without truly understanding them." Krillzax, still stunned, found his voice. "What do you want from us?" "Recognition," Catherine replied. "Earth will no longer be classified as a Level 2 civilization. We are here to take our rightful place among the advanced species of this galaxy." As if on cue, the chamber lights flickered. On every council member's personal device, classified data about their homeworlds appeared, information that should have been impossible for outsiders to access. "We've been watching," Catherine said quietly, "learning your languages, understanding your cultures, studying your technology. And all the while, you never really looked at us." The council chamber remained silent as the full impact of her words sank in. Humanity had not just arrived on the galactic stage. They had been in the wings all along, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to step into the spotlight. Ambassador Zithril's skin shifted to a respectful gold color. "It seems we have much to learn about humans." Catherine nodded. "And we have much to share. But first, we need to address a more immediate concern: the Vrecken fleet approaching the Rigel sector." The council chamber fell silent at the mention of the Vrecken. Every species feared these aggressive conquerors who had taken 3 council worlds in the past decade. "How do you know about the Vrecken fleet?" Graktor asked, his voice low with suspicion. Catherine Lewis touched a small device on her wrist. A hologram appeared, showing detailed scans of 20 warships moving through space. "We've been tracking them for months," she explained. "Their current course will bring them to the Rigel colony in 3 days. The Council Defense Fleet is still 5 days away." Krulzax looked at the other council members in confusion. Our intelligence said we had 2 weeks to prepare. Your intelligence is flawed, Catherine said simply. The Vrecken have developed a new drive system, not as advanced as our shadow drive, but faster than your ships can track. In the tense silence that followed, Dr. William Green entered the chamber. He carried a small case and nodded respectfully to the council members before joining Catherine. This is Dr. William Green, our chief scientist. Catherine introduced him. He would like to share some of humanity's technological innovations with you. William opened his case, revealing several small devices. These are just a few examples of human innovation, he said, his voice calm and clear. This first one is a quantum entangled communicator. It allows instant communication across any distance without detectable signals. He activated the device. On the main screen, Captain Lisa Wright appeared, standing on the bridge of the Defiance. "Greetings, council members," Lisa said. "I'm currently in orbit around your colony on Proxima Centauri, 12 light years from your station. As you can see, we're speaking with 0 delay." The council members murmured in amazement. Their best communication systems still had light speed delays. William continued, showing them a small silver cylinder. "This is our medical regenerator. It can heal injuries your medical science considers permanent." To demonstrate, he approached a council member who was missing an arm, lost in some long-ago conflict. With permission, he passed the device over the scared shoulder. Everyone watched in shock as new tissue began to form, creating a perfect new arm in minutes. "Impossible," whispered the healed council member, flexing his new fingers. William smiled gently. "Not impossible, just a different approach to biology. We don't try to replace limbs with mechanical parts. We learned how to regrow them." Catherine took over again. "The third innovation we want to share is our consciousness-linked AI. Unlike your computer systems, ours work in direct partnership with human minds." She gestured to a quiet man who had entered behind William. "Engineer Alan Powell will explain." Alan stepped forward, touching what looked like a simple headband. "Our AI systems don't just follow commands. They connect directly with our thoughts, learning and adapting in ways mechanical systems cannot." To demonstrate, he thought of a complex space battle scenario. Instantly, the main screen filled with a detailed tactical simulation no one had programmed. "This is how we develop technology so quickly," Alan explained. "By merging human creativity with computational power." Ambassador Zithril moved closer, her skin shimmering with interest. "These advances are remarkable. But why share them with us now?" Catherine's expression grew serious. "Because the Vrecken threat is real. They've conquered 3 of your worlds because the Council's divisions make you weak. We could defeat them alone, but that's not the relationship we want with the galaxy." Krulzax, who had been quietly processing everything, finally spoke. "What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador Lewis?" Catherine looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various species. "A partnership. Humanity will help defend against the Vrecken. In exchange, Earth will join the Council as a full member with equal standing. The rules require—" Krulzax began. "The rules were made by the Council," Catherine interrupted gently, "and can be changed by the Council. You classified us without truly seeing us. Now you have a chance to correct that mistake." The chamber filled with urgent discussions in dozens of languages. Some council members appeared fearful, others excited by the human technology. But all of them understood that the galaxy had changed forever. Humans weren't just another species to be cataloged and forgotten. They were a force that could no longer be ignored. The Vrecken's Supreme Commander Draj glared at the message on his screen. His yellow eyes narrowed to slits as he read the warning from some unknown species called humans. "Who dares to threaten the Vrecken Empire?" he growled to his officers. "Some primitive species we have never even heard of." His tactical officer looked nervous. "Supreme Commander, our scouts report that these humans have ships with technology we cannot understand. They appeared out of nowhere throughout our territory." Draj slammed his armored fist on the console. "Nonsense. No species can match Vrekan military might. Send the humans our standard response to any who stand in our way. In the Galactic Council station, Catherine Lewis received the Vrekan message. She showed it to Admiral John Carter, who had joined her as Earth's military representative. They've rejected our warning, Catherine said. They're still planning to attack the Rigel colony. John nodded, his face grim. Then we proceed with Plan Delta. The Council has agreed. They have, Catherine confirmed, though they're still in shock about our capabilities. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Lisa Wright received the new orders from Admiral Carter. Her crew prepared the ship and its sister vessels for what would be humanity's first direct conflict with an alien power. All ships report ready, Captain, said Officer Kelly. Lisa took a deep breath. Shadow jumped to Rigel colony. Alert all Earth vessels in Vrekan territory to activate their countermeasures on my mark. The Vrekan fleet approached the Rigel colony, 20 massive warships bristling with weapons. Supreme Commander Drash watched with satisfaction as the colony's pitiful defenses came into range. Begin the attack sequence, he ordered. Show these humans what happens when. Suddenly, 5 Earth vessels appeared directly in front of his fleet. They had not come out of faster-than-light travel. They had simply appeared, as if they had been there all along but invisible. Open fire, Drash screamed. The Vrekan ships launched everything they had. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the Earth vessels. But instead of exploding on impact, the weapons seemed to vanish into the ship's strange shields. On the Defiance, Lisa gave the order. Mark. Across Vrekan space, 50 hidden Earth ships activated special devices. On every Vrekan world and ship, computer systems suddenly went dark. Weapons powered down. Communications failed. In the council chamber, representatives watched in amazement as the tactical display showed the results. The mighty Vrekan Empire had been neutralized without a single shot fired. How? Asked Graktor in awe. Alan Powell explained. We studied their systems for years. They're built on a central network architecture. Once we understood it, we created a technology that could access and control it remotely. Back at Rigel, Supreme Commander Drash raged helplessly as his mighty flagship drifted powerless. Through his viewport, he could see an Earth vessel approaching. A communication came through on the only working system left on his ship. Captain Lisa Wright's face appeared on the small emergency screen. Supreme Commander Drash, she said calmly, your fleet has been disabled. Your Empire's defenses are down. But we have not harmed any of your people. This is impossible. Drash snarled. No one can defeat the Vrekan. We just did, Lisa replied simply. Humanity offers you a choice. Retreat from Council space permanently, or face complete technological shutdown across your empire. As Drash struggled to comprehend this defeat, in the Council chamber, the representatives were reaching a decision. The vote is unanimous, announced Krulzax, looking slightly stunned at his own words. Earth is granted full Council membership with special advisory status on security matters. Catherine Lewis nodded respectfully. Earth accepts and pledges to help reform the Council into a more just and vigilant institution. Ambassador Zithral's skin shimmered with a new color pattern that indicated respect and awe. The galaxy will never be the same. That was our intention, Catherine said with a small smile. We've watched how the Council operates. Some changes are long overdue. As the Council session ended, many representatives approached Catherine with questions and offers of alliance. Humanity had accomplished in one day what many species had failed to do in centuries. They had changed the balance of power across the galaxy, and done it without taking a single life. 6 months after Earth joined the Galactic Council, the station buzzed with activity. Species that once avoided council meetings now attended regularly. The reason was simple. Humans were changing everything. In the main chamber, Catherine Lewis stood before the assembled representatives. Behind her, screens showed images of the new Earth Academy on Mars, where aliens from 50 different worlds studied human innovation methods. The first class of graduates will return to their homeworlds next month, Catherine explained. They'll bring with them not just human technology, but human ways of thinking. Ambassador Zithril, now head of the reformed Discovery Committee, nodded approvingly. Her skin glowed with the blue of progress. The applications are increasing every day. Even species that once feared change now want to join. After the session, Krilzax approached Catherine in the corridor. The once dismissive council leader had become one of Earth's strongest supporters after seeing how human medical technology saved his youngest offspring from an incurable disease. Ambassador Lewis, he said, his voice translator conveying respect. The reforms you suggested for first contact protocols have been approved. No species will ever again be classified without proper investigation. Catherine smiled. That's excellent news. Junior analyst Drevmore will make an outstanding head of the new contact division. Across the station, Admiral John Carter met with Graktor in the military command center. On the main screen, they watched as human and council ships trained together, learning from each other's tactics and technologies. Your captains learn quickly, Graktor said, his 6 eyes blinking in approval. As do yours, John replied. This partnership benefits everyone. The Vrecken have withdrawn completely from council space, Graktor noted. Without firing a single weapon, you accomplished what our combined fleets could not do in decades. John nodded. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to make it unnecessary to fight. On Earth, Susan Miller walked through the newly built Galactic Embassy in Geneva. Aliens from 200 worlds now lived and worked alongside humans, learning and sharing knowledge. Children from both Earth and distant planets played together in parks specially designed to accommodate different atmospheric needs. Alan Powell joined her, carrying his latest invention. The Universal Translator is finished, he said proudly. Now any species can communicate directly without technology barriers. That will change everything, Susan said. Breaking down communication barriers is the first step to true understanding. In lunar orbit, Captain Lisa Wright prepared the Defiance for a new mission. Her crew now included members of 12 different species, each bringing unique perspectives and abilities. Course plotted for the unexplored regions beyond Andromeda, Captain reported her new Zithian navigator, her skin shifting with excitement. Proceed, Lieutenant, Lisa ordered. Let's see what's out there. As Earth ships ventured further into the galaxy, they discovered species the Council had never found. They made peaceful contact with civilizations that might have been overlooked or misclassified under the old system. One evening, Ambassador Zithril and Krilzax shared a quiet meal in the station's dining area. Through the viewport, they watched Earth shine like a blue jewel in the distance. Do you remember when we first discussed them? Zithril asked. You said they were just humans. Krilzax made a sound that his translator conveyed as laughter. The greatest mistake of my career, though perhaps also the most fortunate one. How so? Asked Zithril. Because they could have conquered us, Krilzax said seriously. Their technology, their ships, they could have dominated the galaxy. Instead, they chose to elevate everyone. Ambassador Catherine Lewis joined them, catching the end of their conversation. Conquest was never our goal, she said, taking a seat. Humanity spent too many centuries fighting amongst ourselves to want more conflict. We learned the hard way that true strength comes from unity, not dominance. As they spoke, the station received news that the Vrecken had requested peace talks, not just with the Council, but specifically with human representatives. A species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries now sought guidance from humanity. They're not just humans, Zithril said, echoing what she had argued months ago in that first council meeting. They are something we've never seen before. Catherine smiled. No, Ambassador, we're exactly what humans have always been. Explorers, inventors, dreamers, and at our best, peacemakers. Across the stars, Earth's influence continued to grow, not through force or fear, but through innovation and cooperation. The galaxy would never be the same again, and most agreed.